Yeah, man. Same here. It was a pleasure.
For the elders, for the aches and pain, I grow for the young who walk in the rain. This ain't no commerce, this ain't no vice. This is Nevis tradition, it have a price. Now here's the irony, the whole island know. They approve the farming, they promote the show. Same ones who clap, turn around and seize. But the farmer's still standing, taking the breeze. The magistrate nod, say you can play your part. Go on to the show, let the music start. Bankie thank the court, give a little smile. But his confiscated parts, them keep a while. So he walk on stage with his head held high, sing about the land beneath the Nevis sky, yeah. Them take the part, but not the soul. Bankie stand, he in control. What he plan, truth and right. What they keep, a losing fight.
And global greetings. Welcome to another edition of the Topics here on Real Entertainment Network. It's another beautiful Tuesday evening here in the Federation of Oli and Liamiga. We love to use the indigenous names that was given to the islands. Hopefully, maybe one day that we could have that etched into our legacy that we maintain those names. The entire Eastern Caribbean, our brothers and sisters throughout the Eastern Caribbean, those of you, wherever you may be on the globe, morning, afternoon, or evening, may be applicable to you at this time. It's another wonderful edition of the topics, and we have this evening as our special guest the Honorable Mark A.G. Brantley, Premier of Nevis, and as usual, my regular co-host, Shabazz Bankie King, and you, our usual listeners, and maybe new listeners as well, who are usually logged in, whether it's via Twitch TV, our Facebook page, or YouTube platform, where we stream simultaneously. We look forward to your engagement and your calls this evening. What we're going to do as we get into our discussions this evening, we're going to at least try to, as much as possible, engage the callers as early as possible so we can give them an opportunity to call in, because sometimes we get the feedback that they don't get into to call as much as possible. So we're gonna, as much as possible, seek to get in that information and give the numbers out early, so that you can be a part of the conversation. We're also going to, as much as possible, pay attention to the comments that are on the Facebook wall or the YouTube wall and see what we can fit in. We want to encourage all of you who are present with us this evening as well to take a few seconds, go on over to the YouTube platform, click on the subscribe button, like, share, and click on the notification bell so that you are informed every time we have a program here on Real Entertainment Network. Good evening, Bankie. Greetings. Welcome to another edition of the Topics.
Yahsonn, greetings and greetings to the listening audience. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning to Real Entertainment Network. You could be listening to any other media house, but you choose to listen to Real Entertainment Network and the shows that they have, especially the topics. And greatly appreciate to have our guest this evening, the Premier Honorable Mark Brantley. Definitely looking forward for the reason this evening. But before I get into that, Yahsonn, let me say thanks to all those who tuning in throughout the region. And also, let's say we're just coming out of a long holiday weekend from Friday to yesterday, which was celebrated as African Liberation Day. And apart from that, we had the Winfest Festival. We have a lot of vehicles coming in from overseas. So I want to big up Sean Rollins and all those who had part to take when it come to that event. Minister Chai Labour and whatever the government had to play in that part to making this activity a very successful. I see some of the pictures and some of the cars and being over in Caseby area, some of the vehicles passed, and had some friends came up from St. Kitts also. I also had people came in from overseas, from Baltimore. So you've seen people I haven't seen for a while. So it was a full-pledged weekend. You have the Winfest, and you have yesterday, I think it was Monday, you have Grandmasters. Some of the band from St. Kitts, not sure of the name of some of the band, but they seem like I met it, people telling me again over to Brooklyn area because they have a few bands from from St. Kitts over, so it's a full play, a lot of activities, and then you still get the spill off over by the farm where people come visit the farm, and so it was a lot of people. I can tell you, I see some people come back to the farm in the morning and it's like they ain't gonna sleep. But it seems like one of the issues is Nevis, it ain't got enough, small hotels, I think. So there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to this thing, because I'm telling you, it was a lot, and I seen everything right in front of my face, thrown right by the road. So it was a well played. So that I must give kudos to all the activities. He had breaking down over in Singing by Carambola. So when those come over from St. Kitts in the afternoon after 2, they continue to party in Nevis. So it's like the party never ended. So it was something to see for this long weekend. It was a place of the cricket. Yes.
So, sorry to interject on your introduction, but you can also forget that there was cricket on the island as well too.
Well, I was just talking about cricket.
There was a lot of cricketers who came in, and I want to take this little second to congratulate the Antigua team, because I happen to be one of the taxi drivers who picked them up at the airport, and I was telling them I see them come with a big trophy and so on, putting it in the bus and so I telling them, bye, well, y'all come to get licks or y'all come to share licks. So they're telling me, bye, watch it, we come to share licks, we got it last year, and so I'm joking with them. So I tell them, okay, well, just like I bring you all in, I'll be able to find out at the end if you all are really successful, and if you all are, I'm going to congratulate you all. So I want to, from this rostrum, tell all of them who was here, I hope they had a wonderful time on the island. I mean, hey, it's Nevis, and they should have a wonderful time. But I'm hopeful. I'm glad that I'm seeing that kind of activity where cricket is concerned. It really makes us feel as if, we really, really have to invest a bit more into our cricket and so forth. Anyway, I don't want to take up your introduction time, but I just wanted to add that. So continue.
Yes. So I was just saying, I met some of the cricketers, and then also the church was having harvest and stuff like that. So I was able to donate some stuff to those who came out and asked and so on. But overall, was a good weekend. I didn't hear any activities where anything happened to anyone and stuff like that. So I mean, that must be commended, and it was a windy weekend too. So kudos to all the ferry drive operators for bringing over the passengers safe and transport back and forth. Car, some of the farmers have some of the banana trees fell down and stuff like that, and some shade will get a few damages here and there. But overall, just want to thank all those who came over and participate in all the activities over in Nevis with all those cars came in car. To pull off this kind of event, it's a lot of communication with both moving from different areas and getting them here. So it's really that. So I mean, you must commend all those who had part to play. So this one. So Premier, good evening to you and welcome to the Topics.
Good evening, Bankie. Good evening, Yahsonn. Thanks for having me. I must say that you're a man of your word, because some months ago you said that you would have me from time to time. and you have
Yes.
certainly done that. I'm getting a bit of an echo.
Appreciate it.
Are you
Yeah,
hearing an echo?
technician.
When I
Well,
speak,
yeah,
I'm
I said
hearing my voice sort of coming back
yes.
to me. But thanks for the
Yeah,
opportunity. It's always a pleasure to be here and to engage, to take your questions. You said the topic, we should call it hot topic because it's always a little heat on this particular show. But I
I
like
think
being
something
here.
you had topics already.
They say when you're opening back, you either duck or hook. So we'll see what
Yes.
happens. Uh, Both of
Beautiful.
you did in your introduction, you stole a bit of my thunder because I did want to say
Yes.
that this weekend was an unprecedented weekend in Nevis. Kudos to the Antigua team for winning the Masters tournament back to back. But also, I was very happy to see that the Masters organizers decided to use two main grounds, the Brownhill ground and the ETW Park. The finals was at ETW. I was able to attend two of the games at the Brownhill ground. I was there to see the fall of Nevis to St. Kitts, unfortunately, for us. St. Kitts beat us in Brownhill to move on
Wow.
to the finals. But a bit of a joke for both of you. The Nevis fellas in the crowd were very disappointed. So I asked them how they feel. They said they take consolation that the Federation won. So it's interesting that when Nevis lose to St. Kitts, they say the Federation wins. So they feel
I got you.
good about that.
That's that's a
Let me
good one.
let me also say that in terms of the Masters cricket, it was really an interesting sort of portrayal of what our history of migration has been. It was fascinating to see so many Nivisians, Kittitians, even people from St. Vincent, Dominique, etc., playing for the VI, the Virgin Islands, the two teams, St. Thomas and St. Croix, and then
Yes.
also playing for teams like Anguilla and St. Martin. As we know, our people have traditionally migrated to those places for work and, have lived and made their lives there. So one of my dear friends, for example, Clifford Bumble Waldron from Brownhill, he came
Yes.
to Nevis to play with, I think, St. Croix. So I had to ask Bumble, who you going to play for? Imagine you're playing for St. Croix in Brownhill against Nevis. So Bumble say playing for the Federation. So that was quite amusing as well. So, it's that when you look around, you find a lot of the guys them who are playing for the VIL right from here. So it was almost like a
Yes.
family reunion type of a vibe.
Of course.
And I really want to commend the organizers. I want to single out King Astro. And I tell you why. Because the government was called upon to engage and to partner in a significant way, get the grounds ready and all of that. And I would tell you, King Astro was calling almost every day to make sure that we were doing what we're supposed to do. So of course,
Nice.
an event like this would have had many organizers, but I think I wanted to single him out simply because he was the primary liaison with us as government, and he really put out his all to make sure that this thing happened. One of the things that maybe we don't always pay attention to is the spin-offs from these type of events, because I can tell you that from the cricketers alone, I'm told that virtually all of the guest houses and some of the small hotels in Nevis were completely booked out. So I'm not too
Yes.
sure where the drag race people stayed, because the cricketers alone, some of the team they told me brought about 40 people with them. Because not just the cricketers came, but the fans, support system, etc. People came. So the island is really full for the weekend, and I feel very, very happy about that. On the drag racing, we were asked by some private sector individuals to partner. And I want to just say a word about that because I really do think that it's a model for how we can do big events. I think Bankie Yahsonn, too often everybody says the government must do this, the government must do that. When the private sector steps up and partners with the government, it makes it a lot easier. So you big up Sean Rollins, I want to do that as well. People like Moon, Lon Daniel, these fellows really came together. They organized with their colleagues at Think It's, and they came to us and they said, listen, can we get together and partner with government? So they asked us to do some work at the track. We had to do some a bit of extension and repairs and upgrade for a meter of this quality. And then we had to invest in some safety aspects at the end, the stopping area. But we really partnered. You had others like Lefko, and people really chipped in. It was a real
Beautiful.
community effort
Yes.
that made that meet possible. And then I can't but commend King Ocean, because King Ocean came on board as a major sponsor, and they actually transported all of those cars. I'm told they had over 50 vehicles that came in from different islands. BVI was here, USDI was here, Anguilla, St. Martin. They brought in these cars free of cost to the island. And then the government, of course,
Wow.
facilitated the
Yes.
waivers and all of that to make sure that it was as seamless as possible. I confess that I'm not a drag race person. I don't understand speed or the appeal of speed. It doesn't really move me. But I will tell you, I did go over there on a Sunday, and the vibe over there was truly incredible. So I want to say kudos to all those involved, and it shows what can happen when public and private sector partner to produce major events like this. I'm told the guys are already planning, because they want to now do that at regular intervals. One of the difficulties, of course, with sporting facilities is they cost a lot of money to build, and they cost a lot of money to maintain. And if you're not using them on a regular basis, you're going to run yourself into serious problems in terms of how you upkeep these facilities. So with that new organization on board, the drag racers, definitely the government was 100% committed to partnering and to say, let us work together and build out the not just racing, but the whole idea of sports and sports tourism on the island of Nevis. And that is, I think, what we should do. And at this point, I'm very happy that we were able to do it successfully. I can't end without thanking the Honorable Troy Albert. He came to the cabinet early. He was sort of the tip of the spear on this particular project, and he really championed it. And he has a good working relationship with all the guys, and we were able to really put something spectacular together for the people of Nevis. The other event, of course, was a fundraiser that happens each year in Brick Hill for medical fundraiser, they call it. And the Honorable Alexis Jeffers is a major player in that with some others. And what I find about it, Bankie and Yahsonn, is that it's the only event in Nevis where they serve breakfast, brunch, lunch, and dinner. So it looks like whatever time you stop, you have something that you can buy to eat.
Yes.
So I went early and had breakfast, but of course they had people throughout the day, and that's where they had, I think, I'm not sure, was it New Vibes? I think they had a day.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So they had a lot of action in Nevis, and I'm really happy that we got through a successful weekend, that everybody appeared to be happy, and what for me is very important, that we had no incidents, no difficulties, no crashes, no injuries to anybody, and so I'm happy about that. So I think that's quite something that we all can feel happy about. Let me before I end though, use this platform to express my condolences to the Brown family of Prospect. Not sure if you guys would have heard, but young Brown would have passed at the Hot Springs this morning. I'm advised that he normally goes there early, and when we went this morning, we found him there. So it's a sad situation for the family, and definitely my heart goes out to them as well.
Yes. Well, definitely want to say the condolences to Evelyn and Chip and his mom and his other brothers and stuff like that, because we also, Evelyn, my classmate through high school, and also we supposed to be family related. So definitely, I mean, it's a sad situation, because I'm telling you, when you go buy memes, right, you want to know how a place with mango tree is so clean all the time. If the leaf them don't drop, and if the mango them don't drop, kind of span everything. I'm not sure how memes and Moses going to replace this gentleman, because he have really made a good contribution to keep that place in prestige condition. So definitely, I mean, the whole of Nevis is mourning for the family. A very nice gentleman. I went to school with him also, probably going by 2 years. Pretty young gentleman that still had a lot of life to live and contribute to the society. Always by himself and stuff like that. That's one thing. So we can understand how the family can feel by losing a loved one. So, Yahsonn?
Yes, I too want to send my condolences to the family. I heard about it a little bit late this evening. Actually, I didn't hear about it earlier on today. I was on the road doing some other things, and so I definitely want to send some condolences to the family. And anybody who is going through that, grieving time at this time as well, I would want to send some condolences to them as well. As we speak about activities throughout the weekend, we also had uh, our Cable and Liberation Day celebrations yesterday. That was celebrated at ORU Natural Liberty over at Newcastle, where Ras Iroy has his farm on that side. Wonderful activity. I think I got an opportunity to record some of the presentations and share them on Facebook and I think Instagram and so forth. Wonderful activity. I grew up Bankie um, seeing that activity being promoted a lot by mainly the Rastafari community. Um, there was some time in the past there would have been a little bit of involvement from it might have been the cultural ministry of government, and we would have had people like Suti Byron, I could recall back then,
Mhm.
who would have been very instrumental in helping to keep that aspect of our story alive. Um, even yesterday as we had the gathering and the other various speakers and so on, one of the things that came up is that this is not just a Rastafari thing, and seemingly over the years, this among things like Emancipation Day celebration, and in more recent time, we would have seen the effects of Rastafari in relation to the recognition of the Buckley's uprising as a holiday, something over the years that was only upkept and held annually by the Rastafari community. And I'm going through this a little bit because I am wondering, as we are speaking with the Premier, why is it that we don't have more of a governmental involvement in activities like this, seeing that it is something that is fundamental to our development. I saw yesterday the presentation of some young drummers, which really touched a lot of the folks, their heart for a number of reasons. There were the Black Circle drummers by Bingy Paris, who is one of the drummer on Nevis, who is teaching the drum in school. And one of the interesting things for me was he had a young man there with him, who I found out was my cousin anyway, but um, who he was teaching from preschool, and he's now out of school. And there were two other drummers who are actually, I think, in school at the moment, who he had from a very low level. And the demonstration of their skills were on par with a lot of, international drummers out there. So, we are seeing the level of that kind of involvement. So, from the education side, we would have had a little bit of that. But I'm just curious, Mr. Honorable Brantley, why we don't have more of that kind of involvement to really take it from not having it look as if it's just a Rastafari thing and not giving the kind of recognition that I think it should. Your view on
Well,
that to start.
yes, I think you asked a fair question. Let me, however, go back to what you just said, because sometimes we get benefits of government involvement without the recognition that government is involved. The drumming that you're talking about, being his employed through the NCDF, and he has been doing a fantastic job. It's one of those areas where I think that we've excelled in this. You have the same thing with steel pan and what Trini and Mr. Paris have been doing as well, to the point where, as you know, even during Carnival, most of the steel pans for the steel pan competition are from Nevis. So these are all aspects of what the government has put in place. And the fact that you can sit down and enjoy the drumming is one of the benefits of those types of programs that perhaps sometimes go unnoticed. These people didn't start drumming, or the drumming didn't fall into the ear. It is something that is due to a deliberate program that are set up, paid for, and organized by the government. But I suspect that the direct question you're asking is, for example, why aren't ministers and people like that there and in attendance? have attended in the past. I regret that this weekend was just too much happening, and I could not make it. But it can create, I think, just a bit of a discussion and a bit of a debate because you make the point that the Rastafarians have been carrying this particular event for some time. Like as long as I've known it, it's been spearheaded by that group. And I actually don't think that that's a bad thing. I actually see it as a good thing. I actually think that we need more of that, not less of that. I think that the society that we have is structured in a way that government have to be involved in everything. Everybody wants the minister to show up to make a speech about that. Allow people to organize themselves. Allow people to speak to the issues that they think that they're passionate about. And if the government is to be involved, I think the government should be involved sometimes in a support role rather than necessarily in a leading role. So I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm thinking that it doesn't devalue or take away anything from the the celebration that would have been had. That we don't have ministers standing up to make speech and all this kind of thing. I mean, frankly, even as the Premier leaders, I enjoy most of those programs that I can attend when I'm not expected to go up and say something. That I can just go there because to me, when the community organizes something, and that's why where I started, I give such credit to people like Sean Rollins and those guys on the drag race. They approached us. They said, guys, let's do something together. And I think we need to encourage that rather than sometimes sitting back and say, why the government not involved in this? I rather see it as an opportunity for the Rastafarian community to lead, and they can lead in well on these types of issues. And I see no difficulty with them continuing to do so. What I would say for myself personally, that I have been there, I have attended in the past, and I certainly intend to attend in the future. But let them lead, because frankly, the knowledge, the history, they have sometimes a far deeper knowledge and history of some of these matters than any government minister. And I think that they're in a unique position to lead and a unique position to tell the message and to educate people like me and others. So I don't see a difficulty with that. I think sometimes you need less government involvement and more community involvement.
One correction though. I wasn't necessarily speaking in relation to having the elected officials come and speak. What I was thinking more of is in relation what you spoke of in relation to like the car racing event, where it's more of a supportive role. Because, for example, yes, you highlighted the point that Bingi and the drummers are a part of the NDCF, which is a part of government involvement. However, they were just basically invited, like many of the other persons who might have participated, invited by the Rastafari community who would have organized the event. So I was just looking more of, because of the fact that one, there has been over the years a stigma that has been attached to Rastafari, and still to some extent there is. So sometimes you find as a result of that, and because it's only Rastafari who seemingly at the helm of it, sometimes it does not necessarily get the kind of support, so to speak, if it is accepted or supported, so to speak, sometimes by other prominent people in society, so to speak, who would not necessarily lead, but also be involved. That is what I was more alluding to versus just having that.
Well, as I said, I've been there as Premier in the past. I could not make it to this one. However possible, I do attend. I often also do provide some sponsorship when requested of me. So it is not for lack of interest or involvement. I just feel, as I said, in terms of, and I'm happy that you rephrased it because I did misunderstand what you were saying. So I'm happy that, in terms of taking the lead, the Rastafarians will continue to do just that because I think it's an important initiative. But I took your point just now, and I think that
Yes,
we all need to do more in terms of
of course.
espousing and promoting the causes that matter to us.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
Bankie, go
definitely.
ahead.
All right. Well, give thanks for that. And as I said, I mean, hopefully, as the years goes by, the community can get more involved and make it a community event, as we all are one of the same lineage and stuff like that, and not just about, these are not about Rasta, but a community event, and remind us of who we are as a people. For me, definitely, thanks again for being a part of the show. and we get
Sure.
into the conversation. We're going to start off with healthcare, and we're going to go straight on. What are the plans for the addition, the hospital wing that will have been added to the hospital, and what was some of the function of and the reason for that particular? For those who don't know, when we're speaking about the addition, we call it the wing, the addition, and it's a large amount of square footage. So, what was the plan for that, and why was that added, and what was the function supposed to be?
Okay. The plan behind that expansion, which broke ground in 2017, so it's been quite some time now, but actually started major construction in 2018 or thereabouts, was really to expand the existing physical plant of the hospital and to introduce a space for some new services like dialysis. That was part of that plan. The intention really was to modernize what we currently offer and to make space there for things like greater diagnostics, MRI, CT scan, X-ray, etc. Clearly, that project has had some difficulties that we have dealt with from time to time and explained the problems with it. But what I have indicated to the public from time to time is really that healthcare itself has not suffered as a result. What I mean by that, a building is not healthcare. The
Yes.
care that you receive is based on the professionals that are there to take care of you and the equipment, the medication that you need. And we have invested significantly in those. So that whilst we would definitely wish to finish that wing so that we have that additional space, and by the way, it is over 40,000 square feet of space. It's almost an acre of space. In fact, I'm advised that it's bigger than the existing hospital in terms of square footage, what we're doing. So while that would modernize and help us to upgrade in terms of what we're doing, in terms of availability of space, better rooms, better accommodation, some private rooms for those who want to pay a little extra, that kind of thing. The truth is that the care at the hospital is, in my opinion, the best that it has ever been because of the investments that we would have made. I think you and Yahsonn are old enough to understand a time in Nevis when we had 1 or 2 doctors on the entire island. I
Yes,
hope I'm not
definitely.
judging you all too much based on the grey beard that you all are
Well,
dying right now to show some
we don't
seniority.
accept where we are. We don't accept where we at, when it comes to the age part.
So I'm just making the point that
Yes.
there was a point in Nevis when really we had 1 or 2 doctors. In the old days,
Yes.
we had a Dr. Platz that I can recall. We had a Dr. Diaz at one point, but
course.
just a handful of doctors, and these were all what we call GPs, general practitioners. Nevis now boasts a large number of doctors. I think by my last tally, we had something like 40. We have people who are visiting, offering various services. And what's important to me is we now have quite a few specialists. So at our hospital available right here, you have pediatrician, you have internists, you have cardiologists, you have OBGYN. In fact, many of your listeners may not know that we now offer obstetrics and gynecology on the districts. So that if you're in Brownhill and you're pregnant, you don't have to go anywhere. You can go to the health center. If you're in Cotton Ground and you're pregnant, you can go to the health center and get care. That is something that we introduced. That's an innovation that we made. And that really has become possible because we now have our own people in many respects specializing and being available to us. We currently have at the university some who are also specializing, the assistants from the government who we expect to come back shortly. And I believe we have somebody who's doing, what's it called now? The doctors who take care of your eyes. I always run into problems trying to remember the various names. Ophthalmology, I think it's called.
Yes.
We have doctor doing that, and we have doctors who are also doing OBGYN and that kind of thing. So we have invested significantly in that. We also have invested significantly in equipment. Our women now can go to our hospital and get first-class mammogram services. In fact, when we introduced that service, we offered mammogram services for free. That was the introductory approach that we took. And I believe we got close to 400 women who went and took advantage of that service. As we know, mammograms are important to give you an early indication of whether you have any issues in terms of breast cancer. We have also through our partnerships, invested in new ambulances at the hospital. You remember the days when we used to get the old ones sent over from Stinkers? Now we have brand new ambulances outfitted for our use. We have also invested in terms of CT scan, 128 slice, brand new Philips machine that we had installed. We have imaging, we have X-ray. We've invested in all of these services to allow better diagnosis in terms of what we do. We have also invested significantly in nursing. All of our nurses now going to CFBC do so with assistance from this government. So that's a profession. In fact, when we use this platform, the young people out there who are interested in nursing, come and speak to us because we are offering full scholarships for people to study nursing. As we know, there's a shortage of nurses globally. But whilst we're dealing with that shortage, we are not rested. We've brought nurses from across the Caribbean. We've brought nurses from far away the Philippines. We even have some nurses now from Africa that we've recruited because we continue to try to build out the infrastructure, the ecosystem of healthcare. So for me, the healthcare system here has advanced beyond any place that it has ever been. And that is where we are at
Yes.
this point. Now, in terms of the actual wing, let me just say quickly that
Yes.
we are still committed to having that construction completed. We have run into one particular problem, and that is to the financing in relation to that completion. We have everything in place, but to secure the financing to complete that has been a challenge for us. We have tried various mechanisms to secure that financing, including the deal that we tried to make with the Destiny Development, that financing for the hospital was part of that deal. But as we know, we are still waiting for some word from the federal government of that. So we have tried various mechanisms to find the financing to complete that, but we have not rested. We continue to do what we can to ensure that the people of Nevis do have a healthcare system that is fit for purpose.
Okay, so one of the question is so right now with at the standstill of the project, it's been a year or two since no works have been done on that project. Can that project now be used? Kind of earlier mentioned in need you're gonna have in some space for the elderly. The flamboyant home is now limited for space. Cause there's a high demand for nursing for the elderly and stuff like that. So have any thought been used where that building could be used, that area, the whole property, as I'm not sure retrofit for a nursing home area, and then a new hospital can be built.
So,
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
it's just a thought.
Right.
And then I know you also mentioned dialysis. Also, I don't know there's some work going on I'm not sure. There's been alleged all kind of different stuff going on. Construction is going on, and if it is an dialysis unit or whatever it is, can the building that exists now could be in retrofit instead of spending money there? It's easier in an area, at least is part of the building is partially used. If something like that, go ahead.
So it is our intention not to retrofit the building, but really to finish the building for the purpose for which it was intended, which is really to modernize what we offer at the Alexander Hospital, to offer new space and more modern space. Let's face it, the current buildings that are there are quite dated. I think they go back to the 1950s, 1960s. So we definitely need now to do something that is more modern in terms of the physical plant for the hospital, and that's what we're seeking to do with that. You raise an interesting question about care for the elderly, Bankie. Truth is that our people are living longer, and the consequence of that is that people are requiring care later in life. You couple that with a change in society, because when we were youngsters, you always had your elderly living with you, and
Yes.
that was possible in part because remember work wasn't flourishing like now. So a lot of us, our mothers or auntie, whoever, somebody was at home, what we used to call homemakers, and so it was easier for somebody to be living there and taking care of auntie or taking care of grandma, as the case may be.
Yes.
Now in Nevis, everybody who wants to work is out working. So people are not at home like before. And the question is, what happens to our elderly who require care? What we have said as a government is that this is not an area that the government is best suited to satisfy. Yes, we will continue with the flamboyant home to offer care for the elderly, but we are hopeful that some entrepreneur, some Nevis would step up and build a facility, as has happened in Sinklets at the Grange. And we have gone so far, Bankie, to say that we are prepared to offer land to assist that process. So if there are entrepreneurs out there listening to the show who want to invest, the government is actually prepared to partner and offer some land so that you can get into that business, because we see it as a long-term need for the island, but a need, in our opinion, which is better satisfied to a private sector initiative as opposed to the government expanding the role insofar as care of the elderly is concerned. So we will continue doing what we do at Flamboyant, but we are really optimistic that people will step up in terms of dealing with that particular need, which we see being satisfied elsewhere around the world, including in our sister Sinklets, as they have a beautiful facility. I'm told it's beautiful. I've never been there, called the Grange, which is somewhere in the countryside in Sinklets.
I know earlier, you well, not earlier, but before on your press conference about this, just mentioned, speaking about the wing, you mentioned some of the issues with the wing was the flow, and a hospital flow different to a house and stuff like that.
Yes.
So is it the architect who was given the job to draw to prevent all of this? Is the experience within? It was a bad option from your perspective to avoid all this, because I mean, the flow, by just mentioning the flow of a hospital, which means that particular person should understand the flow of a hospital should be flow because of the elevator, the gurney, and the movement of stuff like that is different to a mall or anything like that. So is that an issue on the architect fault that a mistake was made by the cabinet?
I don't think the mistake was made. You go into these projects and obviously you invest in the skills that are available locally. You know that my particular approach, and I've always said so, is wherever possible there's local talent, I use that local talent. Incidentally, I know this is an aside, but let me use the opportunity to congratulate Al Stapleton, because we just announced today that he's a new general manager of Nevis. So we invest in local people wherever possible, and that is always the approach that we take. Now, when I mentioned flow, it wasn't about necessarily a gurney and an elevator. It was that when Paho got involved in the project, Paho said to us, well, you know, the project is set up in a particular way. Not that the way that it was set up can't work, but in terms of flow. For example, this room should be closer to that room.
Well, of course, I understand all that. I understand all that. But when I say flow, I just use gurney and elevator. But I understand. I work in hospitals, so I understand a hospital should build the corridors and stuff that need a special type of gyms and bars. They should be hard and they can. So I overs that. So my work still to the architect. If the architect don't understand, they can have the experience in building a hospital. That's where we end up now. So that's why I asked if it's it. I know you mean well by hiring a local person, but if I don't have the expertise to do such a party, I can take the job, but bring in other expertise that will understand this thing, and it can work. There's nothing wrong with giving a local, but I mean, so that's what I'm asking. If more research could have been done by that particular architect.
Well, perhaps
we at this point.
So
yes,
so
can we at this point 10 years later, 9 years? It's a long time for a project to be going on and still.
But in fairness, Bankie, it is not. While it may be convenient, it is not accurate to say that we are where we are 9 years later because of flow at the hospital. That was.
So what are the other reasons? What are the other reasons behind that? Why we at this point? Then,
I just mentioned the financing. We forget that in the 9 years we had 2 years of COVID when the country was shut down. We forget that when. After what happened yesterday, you don't remember COVID?
So the question is: are the money finished? If there's more financing, the money to start. Are the money there?
No. Let's understand how projects are done and projects are budgeted. So every year you would announce a budget. We started this project in 2018 proper. By 2020, the country shut down. Everything came to a halt. You and I were even locked down during that period of time.
But hold on, Mr. Premier.
Yes.
Hold on, Mr. Premier.
No, let me
I just
Let
wanted to
let the Premier
interject
finish,
because
Yahsonn. Let the Premier finish a little bit, and then we continue.
one second. From what I gathered, though, the project was proposed to be completed in 2 years.
Well,
So
yes, and projects are proposed, but let us not pretend like we live in some la la land. We live in a land of reality, okay? And sometimes when I hear the commentary, I say, well, where people really existing? You get a proposal to build your house in 6 months. Does that mean that it doesn't finish in 6 months? What? These are things that happen. Various things can impact a project and the timeliness or the completion of the project. So the reality
Yes.
is that by 2020, the project was substantially completed on the external aspects of the project. The building is fully complete externally. Windows are in, all of that is there. It is the
But the floor is
internal
off
aspects of the
inside, though.
project. I'm sorry?
But that is the but that's but the internal part of the building is a part of the outside part, you know.
Bankie,
So if the floor is off,
if you allow me to finish my sentence, you can't interrupt me
yeah,
halfway
okay.
through and then tell me like you make a good
No,
point, because that's what I was going on to
no,
tell
I
you.
mean,
I was
okay,
going
make
on
the
to tell
point. I
you
apologize.
that the exterior of
Yes.
the building, to Yahsonn's
Yes.
point, is complete. The
Yes.
interior of the building now is where we have stopped and where we have the issues. And clearly, the
Yes.
interior has to be finished if we're going to have a hospital. Absent that, you need both sides working together, the exterior and the interior. So the structure of the
Yes.
building is there. No, 2020 done and the country shut down. 2020, 2021, and frankly, for the next year and a half, 2 years, we were trying to recover. We didn't have any money available to us. We barely had money. We were borrowing money to pay civil servants, because I said to the cabinet, and the cabinet agreed, that the one thing that we had to make sure of is that our civil servants were paid. And so even though there was no revenue coming in, we made sure that our public servants were paid during COVID. So yes, the project is badly delayed. I am not going to run away from that. Yes, the project needs to be finished. I'm not going to run away from that. But when I hear people say, well, 9 years on the project, I say, but wait, y'all seem to forget that there was a period of time when the country was completely locked down. And so let us, if we're going to criticize, with fear in terms of the criticism. Now, I have said that the recent problems that we've had has to do with the financing to finish the project. And I've also said that we had a plan on that financing, which is now held up. So we're waiting to see what happens in relation to that, because that was what we discussed and agreed would make this project financially viable for us to complete it in the shortest space of time.
Okay, I know you mentioned earlier that the Destiny was supposed to have something with the project, the hospital
That was
continuation and stuff like that, but also leading to working on the hospital. When Culture 50 came up, most of the money was focused and work going on within the environment was stopped, and most focus was spent on the Culture 50. So why couldn't some of, if healthcare is that much important, why couldn't some of that money be spent? Because right now, how much money will it really take to finish this hospital, as it is said? If it would be cheaper to build something from scratch, I'm just saying that which is more feasible. Which is, if it's easier to build from scratch.
Bankie, I hear you, and
continue the project. Yes,
I hear you, and as long as governments exist, as long as people exist, you're gonna have differences of opinion. We had Culture 50. We had Culture 50. We had a big homecoming celebration. I'm pretty sure that if you all are like average divisions, when you have people coming to your house, you fix up. You try your best to present your best to those who are coming. We had hundreds of people, if not thousands, who descended on Nevis for Culture 50. And we took a decision that, listen, we had some resources. We want to fix up the venues. We want to beautify the place. We want Nevis to look good for those who are coming in. Now, we can debate, as you have raised the debate, should that money have been spent elsewhere? But that was our decision as government, that we wanted that Culture 50, the venues were top-notch, and that people who were coming in, many of whom were coming home for the first time in a long time, that they would experience something that was really special. So We can debate whether or not the money should have been
Yes.
spent elsewhere, but that is the decision that we
Of
took as a
course.
camp.
So earlier, I was talking about, you mentioned the same, the wing, one of the main reasons for dialysis. So currently there's a building going on. What is the purpose of that building? Because it seems like no one seems to know. It have a lot of alleged speculation is going on outside
But-
in the general public. I, for
but
one,
that's it.
don't really like to speculate. So I'm just
That
asking,
seems
what
to
is
be-
that particular building?
Bankie, regrettably, that
Yes.
seems to be the order of the day. If you walk downtown now, people
Yes.
start to allege something because
Of
that's
course.
social media. We need to feed.
Well, if information is not given, then if member in the community and people not tell what is this, they're gonna assume.
I will tell you when information is given. They will assume.
Yes.
Because if you know who's
Huh?
giving information, they tell you a lie, this is not true, this is not the case. So
Of course.
what
Of
we have
course.
said
Yes.
in relation to that
Yes.
construction is that we will be making a
Yes.
formal statement. I'm hopeful that
Okay.
we will make that statement this week. But I
Yes.
answered that in my press conference today because the press was also
Okay.
asking. What I will tell you is
Beautiful.
that we have a funding issue that we were trying to resolve before we come forward and make a fulsome statement on that particular project. But I hope to have that in the next few days. So you and everybody else will get a full statement on that. That is very consistent with how we've operated as a government.
Okay. Well, that is good that the general public and those who are listening, especially overseas, have an idea and looking forward to that statement. I know also in your first statement you was speaking about your trip to St. Bart's and the importance of and encouraging people like me, Yahsonn, and those listening about jelly and the cost of a jelly in St. Bart's. I was blown away. $75 and
That was at the
mangoes
hotel,
and at the hotel it is.
Yeah, at the hotel, yes.
Okay. But still a high price, even if it's at a hotel. If so, I guess even if you're on the street, it may still cost at least half the price, a quarter of the price, which is still much more than what you'll get here in Nevis. Also, so we're talking agriculture. You mentioned the amount of fruit trees at Indian Castle, fruit tree art, the amount of coconuts. But technician, are you there? 'Cause I want to show Indian Castle. 'Cause there was an incident at this same place, Indian Castle, where the workers, as you know, I guess they were doing some cleanup down there for the minister to go down there to see the state of the farm, because it's really under really poor management. And I know you mentioned, Minister, on your show, I think it was on your show, you mentioned someone from Agriculture Department was also, but that same person is the manager of the estate. So I'm trying to understand, why would you take the travel to St. Bart's, that someone who wants jelly and trade, and the chief extension officer from the Department of Agriculture is the one in charge of that project and filling that project? And we could be exporting jelly in these times, and but the state of that area is really, I don't think what you promoting fit what you're saying, it don't make no sense to me.
Well,
but I want to show the video. Technician, are you there? I want to show the video so at least you go see the state of the coconut trees and stuff, so one can understand, have an idea pretty much what we're speaking about, and then you can comment. I'm not sure the technician is there to show that video, but you can comment so long, Premier.
Yeah, well, I will tell you that I was down at the Indian Castle Fruit Orchard 2 weeks ago. And
Okay.
so I don't know what the video shows, but I certainly have been
Yes.
there and I have seen for myself what is happening there. And I believe that the coconut palms that we have there can produce, that we can use them in order to generate sufficient coconuts
Of course.
for sale locally, and even
Yes.
the possibility of exporting coconut as well. My report about my trip to St. Bart's, Bankie, was intended to certainly say to the people of Nevis, people like yourself, Yahsonn, and others, that listen, there are opportunities, and that farming really needs to move from where I think it currently is, which for many people is something that they love, and something that we talk about food security, but I'm not
Yes.
hearing people talk about farming as a business. I'm not hearing the entrepreneurs getting involved.
Yes.
Yes, we have some youngsters who are dealing with the state house and dealing with it at that level. But I think the idea that farming as a business has largely not been part of our conversation. When we talk about farming, everybody says what the government doing, and then we have a number of what I would call small farmers. People a couple bananas, couple this, couple that. My thing is really to start the conversation to really get to a point where we can say to people that, hey, you see Yahsonn, you see Bankie, these guys
Hold
doing
your point
well,
there,
they're
Premier.
millionaires, they're multimillionaires out of farming because they are approaching it from an entrepreneurial
Yes.
way.
Hold
So
your point. Hold your
my
point there. I
intention was
think
really to start that discussion.
that technician and
You
excuse
fucking
the
think super.
explicit languages, eh? Technician, you have to
Do you
start
think
over.
super?
Okay, I think that go ahead.
No, fuck.
Audio.
So what is
You
it you're looking at?
fucking
Is it
think
drug
super.
strip?
Well, that's what it
Do
seems
you
to
think
me.
super?
You're funny, you know. You're something else, you know.
Because these
You
can be
fucking think super.
Well, me ask
Do
you.
you think super? There's no more fucking army. Why super left those in my buckler face, boy? Super, like you want reference. Come back, super. What super do, boy? Come in.
Yeah, these are workers at Indian Castle. It's not
Yes,
a jack
super.
ship. It's the workers.
You hear the beast, boy? You hear the beast, boy? You hear the beast, boy? Fuck. Cool. It's me and Super working. What the fuck, Super?
But Premier, I just want this is the workers at Indian Castle. But might you say it was only 2 weeks ago? So how can those coconut trees at this point should be bountiful and fruiting? So how in 2 weeks ago? How were you pleased of the environment? How was it to you
Well,
2 weeks ago?
to be honest with you, I thought of the coconuts. Some of them are fruiting. I do believe that there is an opportunity there that we have to capitalize on. I'm not an expert, but from what I see, the coconut trees, the coconut palms and toilet palms, not trees, they're still standing. And therefore, they're still standing. I think with the right attention, they could definitely produce. What you've just shown there, I think, is a disgrace, Bankie. I don't know why it is that we have our people who could behave in such an irresponsible way. You say they're workers, I don't know who they are. I
Yes.
can tell you that that video has been shared, and I have said to the minister that I want him to get the necessary information as to who those workers are and why they're behaving on government property in that fashion. When I made the comment about the drag strip, is because I was clearly
course.
injecting some levity into it. But to me, this is crazy, absolutely crazy. What I have a problem with is that you will find irresponsible people behaving in that way, and then the public says the government. The public says the minister. The public says the cabinet. The public says the premier. But I was only driving in the truck. I don't know who else super. And the reality is that we must call on our people to be responsible. These types of things should be condemned by everybody. You can't get any production of any serious nature at Indian Castle if workers are only behaving like that. Because if they're behaving like that, obviously they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Premier, the issue at Indian Castle, as you can see, the coconut trees should be fruiting, but they're not getting any water. They're not getting any care, any nutrients. There is strictly neglect, and there's a manager. There's someone have to be held accountable. I hold you as the commander in chief. You're the commander in chief, and your minister of agriculture is from Indian Castle, and the manager is there, goes there. You see what I mean? So there's a whole train of event, but no one is held accountable. So when no one is there, the workers going to do what they want, and that is the issue we're having. So
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
I hear you, but I don't agree with you. Because you can't
Of
tell me
course,
that
that's
we
of
just go down
course.
there watch workers as if
The
what are the
manager,
children?
the
What are the
manager. I
children?
said the manager, the
No, you said the
manager.
workers will do what
But
they
I
want
was
to do because nobody's there. So I'm asking you, are the
because
workers
it's lack of
children or are
management.
the
It's lack
workers?
of management. But it's lack of management. Can you have there are
But
workers who are like that will act like that in any
so I'm
aspect?
asking
That
you, is there
yes,
any aspect of this bank, in your opinion, where you hold the workers accountable?
of course,
Okay,
of
so
course,
let's start
of
there.
course.
So let's start
Yes,
there, right? Now, you said the manager doesn't go down there. I don't know. I have not had those reports. But I can tell you that insofar as the Indian Castle fruit orchard is concerned, I still feel that it
yes,
is one of the most significant developments in agriculture from a government point of view on the island of Nevis.
definitely.
And I still feel
Yes,
that there's tremendous opportunity that we have there. There is work that
yes,
is necessary, but work will always be necessary. And I believe Minister
yes,
Eric Evelyn, who's the minister, knows my views on this. This is a matter that we've discussed, and he understands what the needs are in relation to getting that Indian fruit orchard, Indian castle fruit orchard, back to what I think it should be, and back to the level of production that I think it should be. Is one of
yeah. But you see, the
the
keyword there is back. You see, just must
well,
you
yes,
mention back. That
yes.
is the keyword
So
because it should not be in there. That is the whole
no,
point. So
but
how can
I
go in 3 years you let a major project as you just mentioned, the
right.
national project that everybody want to? Can now seeing it is moving towards a 300-acre hot pepper and fruit tree orchard because of that the consortium in St. Kitts is going to fruit tree development because of what they see at Indian Castle. Everybody emulating Indian Castle. So for to hand over a project in mint condition and just been deteriorated and continue to deteriorate and nothing is being done, it is not a good look. And I know you're not pleased about it, but you cannot be making excuse for your minister, Mr. Premier,
So,
because that's what you're
but
doing.
but I also think it's not fair for you to say nothing is being done about it. Bank of the
With
Spaces,
what is
we look
being
at the
done.
history. No, we look at the history of the project. You were there, and I've said it publicly. You did
Yes.
a great job. You left, and there was a transition, and we understand that some of the attributes of the project that we slipped in relation to that. But that is not to suggest that we have somehow abandoned the project or that we don't understand what is to be done. You were just exceptional at it while you were there. I don't know if I can find another Bankie. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on this thing with you, I've said it publicly. You tell me you sit down at night, you
You
talk to
be-
the plants and things like that. Not
of
many people
course,
will be
of
down there talking
course.
to the plants. Right? So, if let's switch from you to Yahsonn, the thing might just slip a bit too. That's the reality of the
Wait,
situation,
okay.
right? So
Okay,
Okay.
I just want
Yasser,
you to understand
okay,
that
it could have happened under Yasser. Yasser, it would have happened under you too. I accept that.
I
It's true.
hear
It could
you.
have happened under
No,
Yasser.
no. Hear me
Uh,
now. Hear me now. Because I think I'm trying to make a bit of a joke about it, but hear me now. We
of
understand that
course.
there's work to be done, don't we? We
Yes,
understand,
definitely.
especially in relation to the coconuts, that there's a market
Yes.
to be had, and it's a matter that the minister is very aware of my views and the views of the cabinet on the matter, that we need to get that fruit orchard in
Yes.
proper order insofar, especially where the coconuts are concerned.
Okay, beautiful.
Mr.
Destiny.
Premier, Mr. Premier,
After
before we go to
Yasson, we go to Destiny. Guide Yasson.
before we get to Destiny, right? In relation to the coconut issue, Mr. Premier, I don't know if you are really assessing that prospect fully. Reason being, one, at present where we are in Nevis, we are not supplying our local demand. Majority of the coconuts that you see on island is either coming in from St. Vincent or coming in from Dominica. We are not supplying our local demand. So that is one aspect. We had a difficulty in the past with the coconut palm. We don't know if that has already been resolved in terms of the lethal yellowing, which would have been responsible for us not necessarily having as much coconuts. However, the government would have made some efforts. Indian Castle is one, for example, and there is two other plots that I know of in the New River area where I am, and they are basically going through a similar neglect as what we are seeing at Indian Castle. As a matter of fact, I wasn't here, but in getting some information from Bankie, one of the plots on the lower end of New River, they would have had coconut trees there, they would have died, they would have replaced them, and if you are to go down there right now, they're still in a state of disrepair. So, yes, it sounds very good, and probably there is that market over there in St. Bart's as well. But our probability of being able to sustain such a market or to meet such a market before even meeting our demand, I don't know in terms of your view from what I'm looking at. Right now, maybe we need to zoom in on taking care of at least the three plots that we have right now under government watch, so to speak, and ensure that they are catered for. And two things can happen as well. I sometimes, as you mentioned, I will hear you say it at times, that sometimes people look at the problems but don't offer solutions. Um,
Mm-hmm.
One of the solutions, and I would have said it to the members of agriculture department already myself, one of the coconut palms, I think they want the one up on the river where Mr. Um, Girard has the egg farm. That one up on that side, coconuts are bearing on that one. That could be fenced properly and even used as a tourist attraction, where you could set up a little jelly stall in there and you could pay, people can pay taxi driver, fix the road, they go up there and they can get coconuts. That is a possibility, but and that could help pay for itself by doing that, right? And pay the workers and so on to maintain the property and so on. And similarly, the one lower can do that. And so, but they really need care and attention, Minister. You
Can
can
I
go and
ask,
take a job yourself
may,
and look at it.
may I ask a question? I hear you, and I agree with what you're saying. I'm not going to argue. But your entire focus has been on government. And so, what the conversation that I think I want to have is really that is no longer just about government. When I talk about the potential for market, I go back to agriculture being an entrepreneurial pursuit, that there are private sector individuals out there who could also get involved. It seems to me that people have viewed my comments about supplying the market, whether it's in Bath or elsewhere with coconuts, and said, well, what is the government doing about it? And that is tend to be the knee-jerk standard response in years. My question really is a different question. What is Yahsonn doing about it? What is Bankie doing about it? What are the farmers doing about it? If there's a market out there, do we just sit back and say, by government not managing their farms properly, without looking at it and saying, well, how can we position ourselves to take advantage of some of that? So I think that both sides need to work together. And if you're going to have a conversation, both sides need to be taken into account. You can't just point your
Definitely.
finger at Yahsonn and say, government
Yes.
now do the job, but you're not doing yours.
I smile because when you talk about positioning yourself, Banky and myself would have had a similar conversation, and
Mhm.
in relation to the same coconut issue, but Banky would have opted to plant a certain amount of coconut trees around the same
Close
time,
500. I got close 500 coconut trees planted already.
and
And I have got
Banky's
over close to 100 fruiting
So let me
already.
ask you, wait. Stick up in. Both of you are agriculturists. Is the correct language coconut tree or coconut palm? Because I was in Virgin Islands and a professor down there tell me that it is coconut palm.
It's a
So
part of
what's
the
the
palm
correct?
Whichever one
family.
you want to call
Part
it.
of the palm
Whichever way you
family.
want to
But
call it. We talking about, we know what we mean.
we locally call
We
it a
know what we
coconut
mean,
tree.
Virgin. We know what we mean. We're talking Nevis language. We're reason. No let the film turn nonsense. We entertain the
No,
crap of
it's
the
not
fact.
nonsense. I'm
No, we're
asking
not
for
about up
your
nothing.
clarity
The premier
on
want to have a light
into
moment.
this
We know
educated
exactly what we're
level.
talking about. Okay? We're not talking about God plum. And we're not talking about palm trees. We know we're talking about
Yeah,
the
coconut
premier
tree. But
nonsense.
yes,
Yeah.
technically,
We know we're talking about. All right,
Okay, go ahead.
we're going
yes,
to take a
the
break.
palm, the palm
It's a
family,
light
yes,
moment. Yes,
yeah.
yes. So let me take a break. After this late moment, come back and we continue the discussion. The lines will be open up for anyone who want to have a nice chat with the premier. But good reasoning we're going so far. Good entertainment.
Good.
Technician, we got to break.
In the meantime, well,
Come and get your
okay.
carambola, star fruit, make very nice drink. Come pick them yourself. All the trees them full of vitamin C, antioxidant, build up your immune system. Mine's the last stop. A whole shopping bag, only $10. Half a shopping bag, you pay $5. If you get $2, you must get some. Come get your carambola. Don't want to go to wait. Let's go, people.
At Shabazz Organics, we believe real people deserve real food. So we're bringing you to Mansa's Last Stop, a farm where food barriers are removed and legacy is sustained. We believe there's power in picking, so we allow you to decide what leaves the farm and enters your kitchen organically.
When comfort, class, and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty, from airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel. Imperial Rides moves you in style, clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour service today. Call or WhatsApp 869-665-8459 or email elandflavas@gmail.com. Imperial Rides Transportation Services. Your journey, our priority.
All right. Remember to donate to Jean to help June Brown to help with her medical care. Definitely, I mean, any one of us can go through any kind of health situation. So definitely, June is one of those community person and have her beautiful children. So definitely go out and continue to support. Greatly appreciate those who have been making their donations. So continue and support June Brown with her medical care. I can't see. Is you have to yes. Okay. All right, Yahsonn, continue, and then with the point, and then we open up the lines for those who think. Go ahead.
Well, we're back. I just like I said, we do have that opportunity. I was saying that you basically your coconut trees are already fruiting and harvesting, and so it's not just saying that there are things that can be done. Not trying to critique, but it's just saying that there are things that can be done and can be beneficial to the government as well if just a little bit more attention is given to certain aspects. We
The
are
lines
willing.
are open up to it.
Yeah, the lines are opened up, folks. I think I could take a few minutes and read some of the comments on the wall in the meantime. Um,
Yes.
so on the wall, just remember, folks, if you want to call in to be a part of the program, the number is 1-869-662-7196. That's 1-869-662-7196. Gotti Brown says Brantley in the past two budgets said that they had planned to develop the property that NRP bought. So what happened to those plans? West Haven, Newfound, or whatever the place name. I think they're talking about West Haven. He said that the Minister of Agriculture is doing a great job. Sorry. Make sure to ask him about the drag race that happened down at Indian Castle. Okay, so I guess this was a bit earlier on, so we did ask about that, and I guess the drag race he's talking about is what the Premier referred to as if they're on the racetrack. C. Gaskell says kudos to all who made the wonderful weekend happen. Vibes. Nabu says NRP made the initial investment. CCM should step up and expand the track to take it to its full potential. Can they deliver? Carlisle Paris says, greetings, Yahsonn. I enjoyed the African Liberation presentation you showcased on YouTube and Facebook. Give thanks, Ras, for your works, King. Jebret Food says, I fully agree with the perspective of Mr. Brantley. Great response. Oliver Liebert, hi, good night, all kings. I am out tonight, but in the house, bro. Rasta don't need help or assistance. They need other community members to follow the Rasta example. Jebet Food says, and let's not have a back and forth about an event when we have so many pending topics to dissect. Danny Herb says, blessed evening, just getting on. Jebet Food says, a 10-year expansion project. Let's see some of the Facebook comments. Malcolm Atherton says maybe they should hire you and Yahsonn as consultants to turn Indian Castle around. You guys have the skills. Delicious Brown says the problem with the Premier, nobody can upscale him. He has to look the brightest, but not in today's world. He had no granny who told him two heads better than one. Um, Nana says good night, Tafara. Okay, yeah, good night, Nana. How are you doing? Bankie, you're familiar with efficient drip irrigation on your farm? Is that what is needed at Indian Castle? Um, Steve Mills says, what is the point of planting all those palm trees on the bypass road? And how come you and your administration didn't think about planting coconut tree instead? Man, you're okay. What happened to the wine industry that you were promoting? There's speculation that a healthcare building is being constructed. Is it at the hospital grounds? It's been a lot of chatter about that building. Can you talk about that? And people are wondering who's funding that project and what's going to go inside in terms of medical equipment and services. Well, I think he would have responded to that already if you were listening. Okay, Jenny Taylor, he put on a fresh coat of paint on the outside for Culturama 50 to fool the people. I guess he was in relation to the hospital wing. Let's see what we have here. The project started in 2017-18, COVID finished in 2021. This is 2026. Okay, so yeah, these are some of the comments on the wall so far, folks. If you want to call in and weigh in, you can call in. The number is 1-869-662-7196. 1-869-662-7196. Bankie?
So, for me, I'm not sure if you want to make any comment to any of the messages have been read out. Are you okay with what was mentioned?
I couldn't tell you what the messages would be back without looking at them.
Okay.
Same old
Nostradamus.
Nothing
Nostradamus, man. You read it in the future.
Nostradamus, just I've heard it all. Nothing new. So, let me see if we can get some calls or something in, you know.
All right, no problem. The lines are open up.
Bankie, the wicked playing flat tonight. You know, I need a little pep.
You're playing flat?
So let me see if we can call us.
Well, every reason is going to be the same all the time. Let me go with the destiny and the project. I know.
Yes.
It been up. You have written to the federal government and stuff like that, and they have put a team in place, an oversight committee to see what's going on, and so at this point, what is the held up? And I know you also mentioned a press conference to other areas where I guess seeking to do the same development and stuff like that, and if that goes, whatever is moving, but at the same time, I know you said some in Nevis don't want it. There are some who want it, and if it happens in the next whatever development, whatever, then it is in terms that we may lose out or whatever. But if those people want it, then they will have it. But the people within St. Nevis don't want it, as you said, some want it, but whichever way, what is the way for project going on? You still mention destiny, so which is still hanging around. So what is the way forward for this project?
Well, I don't make any bones about it that I support this project and that my government supports this project. We think it's the largest single private sector investment in the history of St. Nevis. And the jobs and the economic expansion that it can provide will be transformative for us. That has been our position, and we have been very clear about that position. We held a number of consultations with stakeholder groups and with the public, and we are satisfied that we have negotiated in a way that is, as we always do, puts Nevis first. But certainly, one of the difficulties I've expressed is that many who have come out and have been very vocal against this project have resorted in large measure to emotionalism. I hear people talking about colonialism and slavery and that kind of language they've infected. And what I find is distressing to me is that no alternatives have been provided. I have always been of a view, Yahsonn and Bankie, that we're not going to always agree. Jesus is perfect. He came down to save us if you believe in Christianity. And what the people do? They kill him. In fact, I will remind you that if you remember the message in the Bible, that Pontius Pilate, who found no wrong with Jesus, he said to the crowd, Should I spare Jesus or should I spare the old criminal Barabbas? And what the crowd say? They say free Barabbas and kill Jesus. What I mean by that, by using a biblical analogy, is that once we're human beings, we'll have differences of opinion. Nothing is wrong with that. In fact, to my mind, it's healthy. What I don't like, what I don't appreciate, is when those differences of opinion lead to a level of vitriol and venom, which, in my opinion, is unnecessary. Let's talk about the drug strip for a moment, just by way of analogy. And I put out a big statement taking credit for it. Kudos to them. One of the things that they said in relation to that is that the drug strip was opposed by CCM, then in opposition. But they went on to say that we pressed ahead because that was our vision for Nevis. I think our people need to accept that is the prerogative of government. And so once people elect a government, when they said they would do a drug strip, they didn't have no consultation or no discussion or whatever. Opposition at the time said we didn't think it was a wise use of resources. They pressed ahead. Today, we had a big drag race over the weekend, and they said, look at it, our vision has borne fruit. All I'm saying is that as a government, we also have the opportunity, and I would say the responsibility, to try to develop this island and to leave it better than we met it. And along the way, we expect that opposition will oppose, and we expect that there will be differences of opinion. But we don't have to devolve into cussing each other over it. Because at the end of the day, I keep asking, what then are the alternatives that you're proposing? I could say, Bankie, you're stripping in a red shirt. And I start cussing you because you're wearing a red shirt. But if I'm not telling you, Bankie, a black shirt will look better on you. Bankie, this is what I recommend. Then what's the point of the conversation? And the difficulty that we have in the debate over destiny is that there is nobody who's coming forward to say that this is what we propose instead. How do we develop the South Coastal Nevis? How do we get that quadrant of the island to contribute to the economic development of the island and to bring it into the mix? There's not any conversation that I'm hearing about that. So, but in terms of where we are in relation to destiny at the moment, the Prime Minister set up his committee. The committee has reported to the federal government, it's their committee, and they have sent a letter dated the 30th of April to us, to Cabinet, saying that these were the concerns of the committee. We responded to that letter on the 8th of May in detail, answering the concerns that they have. I can say to both of you, as I said in my press conference today, that a large number of the concerns expressed by the committee are really not within the purview of the federal government. The federal government, as you know, has a certain constitutional responsibility in relation to Nevis, and the island of Nevis has certain constitutional responsibilities. One of the responsibilities for Nevis is land and development of land. Put differently, nobody in Sinkers could tell us how to develop our land in Nevis. This issue is before the federal government simply because of the design of the particular development and what it is the development is seeking to do. Otherwise, it really would be a matter for the NIA. So I had expected that the response from this committee would be to have focused on the issues that are relevant to the federal government, given that the project is a needed project. But instead of that, they gave a broad sort of expression of their concerns, which, as I said, we have responded to. Since the 8th of May, we have not had a response, and we would have written today. If that letter didn't go out today, we'll go out tomorrow to indicate to the federal government that, listen, within 7 days, come back to us and let us know what the position is, because you have now had this for 5 months. And my view is if the answer is yes, it's yes, and if it's no, it's no. But you can't keep kicking the can down the road. Let us understand what is going on, because at the end of the day, this is development for the island of Nevis. And whether we agree or disagree with this development, I remind all of us here, drag race at opposition, Four Seasons at opposition, Bankie Nevis at opposition, Holy Water Taxi, Mondo Track, all of those at opposition. So it's not the existence of opposition. We live in a democracy. And democracies can be loud and rowdy sometimes, but it is our system of government. We expect that there will be disagreements at times. But I keep saying to our people that whilst we disagree, we don't always have to descend into being disagreeable. And sometimes we can resolve matters through dialogue and through discussion. And there are times when we just agree to disagree. Because nothing I say, Bankie, will convince you on a point, and nothing you say will convince me on a point. So what we say, boy, you hold your point and I hold mine, and we move on. But this venom and vitriol that people seem like they want to even physically attack each other, those things have no room in Nevis. And that's why I continue to say, because at the end of the day, I was born in Hanley Park, as we call it. I grew up in Brownhill, and we could cuss like everybody in cussing is easy too. You know that.
I understand, but I don't understand why men like to cuss so much. Why men like to talk about this cussing thing? But only women here talk like I saw this cussing thing. I understand that. Cuss.
Man or woman, right? I am simply making the point that male or female, the point is simple. Cussing easy. But easy. Right? Solutions now.
Yes.
That is where the difficulty comes in. Anybody can cuss. That ain't hard to do.
Okay, but Mr. Premier, see, yes. I've listened to you, right? And one of the issues and challenges that I found is that it's the communication. I think that is where the problem, especially with the Destiny project, stems from. The lack of, I would claim, transparency, I guess, from the beginning and from the onset. And I think that is why, I guess, many of the people have been skeptical, and a lot of questions have been asked, which they have, in a lot of cases, have not gotten clear enough responses to. And I think this is where some of the issues surrounding the project is concerned. And then...
Bankie, I disagree with you 100%. I disagree with you 100%.
Not me. You put me in a...
Let me hear what you said. Yes.
I disagree with you 100%. You know why? Because I even stopped talking about Destiny now. Because I'm wondering what more can I say. For example, this argument that Destiny going to create a state within a state. This argument that Destiny involves the sale of government land. These are things that have been said, and no matter how many times you point out to the public, this is simply not true. People just repeat it tomorrow. So you said people want information, and I convinced you. What is happening in Nevis is that a certain narrative has been set, and if you're not saying something that accords with that narrative, then people say you're lying, what you say about, and they cuss you. It has nothing to do now with information and accuracy of information. Because no project. Let me finish. No project in the history of this island of Nevis has had as much ventilation as this project. None. Point me to one. None has had the level of consultation with the public.
But Mr. Premier, the reason for that stems from all of the secrecy that was showed in around this project.
Absolutely false. That is your argument that is not true. The reason for that is because we as a government committed, we recognize it's a major project, and we committed to consult on it. It had nothing to do with any secrecy. What was the secrecy?
Yes, so let me take this call here. Let me take this call from this caller here. And then we continue. Caller, good evening. Caller. Hello. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, good night, Brother Bankie.
Yes, raise your voice, please. Raise your voice.
Good night. Good night, all three of you. Good night, Mr. Brantley.
Yes.
Yahsonn kind of touched upon what I wanted to say. Now, can we agree? Your administration, government came from the people and is the people and should represent the people. Now, when this Destiny came into effect, and probably there were others, but let me speak on the Destiny right now. How transparent you were to the people for this blowback to happen? Was there misunderstanding? Was there no transparency and the project come to you The deal came to you, your administration, and in your cabinet, you decided to go forward. People was not brief as to what this project was about until later on down. All this recall, this blowback against the Destiny project. Now, I personally feel like this was not laid out properly so the people could understand. And as a result of that, that is why we have this, should I say, resentment without violence, or something did not went down right for the people to understand what is going on. Because as you, as a representative, you know where our family came from, our founding fathers. They come from slaves. And these lands, once time, was handed down to us. And why you would have agreed to let those lands go when you should have defended? You did not put up any defense.
Caller, can I interrupt?
Let me finish up your point. Caller.
I will leave it right there because I guess I'm...
Okay, the Premier and let me make that correction. Thanks for your calling, Carla, but let me make the correction. Our ancestors were enslaved. They were slaves. They were enslaves. All right? Premier, you can respond.
Man. But let me, you see, it goes back to what I'm saying. Everybody's saying they want information. Everybody's saying that they want clarity. I'm not convinced that is true. Hear what the caller just said. That I allow these lands to go into people's hands. Does the caller understand that these are private lands that are being sold by the owners? Does he understand that the purchaser of these lands is a citizen? Not granted citizenship by me, but granted citizenship by the country. And as a citizen, you can buy land if you so desire. How is it that Mark Brantley and the NIA is being held accountable for a private person selling his or her private land? One citizen selling to another. And I have been at pains to explain that 1,000,000 times. Still people say the same thing, and I guarantee you that after this show tomorrow, they will say the same thing again. So I am of the view that if you're in school and the teacher tell you 1 + 1 = 2, and you say no, 1 + 1 = 3, and you keep repeating it, you don't want to hear none from the teacher. You don't really want information. You want things that support whatever your viewpoint is, and this call is a perfect example. I allow these lands. What could I do to stop a private man selling his land to another private man? If you have land Bankie tomorrow and you decide you're going to sell Yahsonn your land, you're a citizen, Yahsonn is a citizen. How does the government get involved in that private transaction?
Yeah, but Premier, when you said stuff, is just like, okay, you know, you said there was some land over there, untitled land, and then you said National Bank had traded some land and stuff like, but National Land now sold the land, which means the federal government would have to get involved and to sign up on these things. So which means
you see, these are
is not involved.
These are some of the bits of misinformation.
Well, right? Correct. What is need to be corrected? Let me take this call and then let you finish up your point. Let me take this call. Right. Okay. Caller, good evening.
Hello, good evening. This is Livingstone Williams, aka Stoneman.
Yes.
Mr. Brantley, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, brother. He's listening. Go ahead.
Yes. Mr. Brantley, you are very deceptive in your responses about that this project was not shrouded under secrecy. When I was negotiating with your wife, she refused. You hear the word I use? Refused to have any discussion with me about what the project was about or what they were going to do. All she would tell me is milk and honey, sweetness and light, how great it would be for Nevis. Also, could I ask you a question? This $100 which Destiny offered to the Nevis public. Do you condone? Do you agree with it?
Oh, you finished, Carla?
No, I haven't finished. I've asked him a question, so I'd like a
Let him
response.
finish,
Well,
and then
he's-
I can respond.
Well, he
Yeah.
said finish up and then he'll respond when you get off the phone. He will finish when you get off.
Yeah, but I don't want to get off the phone because I want to be able to respond to him, just as he wants to respond to me.
Well, the
No,
premier still waiting for you to get out. The premier, what you're going to do, you respond. The caller want to hear what your answer is. I guess you want to repeat,
So-
have a conversation with you.
He's asking me if I agree to $100 being given to persons.
Yes. Yes.
My understanding, again, from Destiny is that they want to share 5% of the profits of the project with the Nevis people directly. And they wanted to front load that by starting this $100 payment to every
But
Nevis.
it was $30 before. It was $30 before. So
But I don't know anything about
say more from
$30.
5% then.
The
Say
caller
more from
asked me-
5% to a different. Yes.
No.
You may-
Let me explain.
Uh-huh.
Let me explain. My
Yes.
understanding was that Destiny said they will share 5% of the profit of the project directly with the people of Nevis.
Yes.
And
But it was
They've
$30. They said it
I
was
don't know
$30
anything
they
about the
started out
$30.
first. Well,
Brantley, I don't know
I
where $30
interviewed the gentleman. Well, I interviewed the gentleman, Mr. Johnson,
Right.
and he said he will give $30 once everything is signed. Then now it moved to $100 US. So let's make that clear for
Well,
those who are listening. So it's moved from
as
30
I
EC to 100 US. Yes. So go ahead now.
I'm the one.
Yes.
As I understand it, the gentleman has asked me a question about $100. I'm explaining what I know.
Of course.
Okay?
Yes.
And my understanding is, as I've explained it, this $100 is intended to be a front loading of the 5% payment. They said, rather than waiting for profits to flow, we're going to start with this upfront, $100 to every person who signs up to collect it. That is my understanding. And my view, caller, is that, frankly, I don't have a position one way or the other. If it is that any company decides that they want to share money with the people of Nevis, people decide they're going to take it or they will not take it. It has nothing again to do with the government.
The Premier agree caller.
So he agrees with it then. Well, let me ask him this. If they are going to be offering us as commoners $100, what did they offer him?
Well, I don't know
Who
who
you
you're
asking
calling
the question?
commoners. I don't know who you're calling commoners because Univision is a commoner. So that is a British expression. Probably you brought it with you when you came here, but get rid of them things from your lexicon. We are all people, we are all human beings. I'm not a commoner. You know, commoners are kings and Nevis. And in terms of what I have been offered, I can answer that. I have not been offered anything because I'm not in the business of being offered anything. I'm the Premier of Nevis. I'm here looking development for Nevis. So let us be quite clear on that.
Caller, any other questions?
Well, you know, I am at a loss because he keeps saying about he had all these discussions with people. What about the landowners? He had never even made the mistake to say he would have a meeting with the landowners who are the major shareholders. And the Premier, again, is a liar. They claim that they had 60, 70%, and I know for a fact they've only got 30%.
So, Carla, can I ask?
And let him spin on that.
So, Carla, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Because I know you're one of those callers who keep calling in, even on the Premier show, and you're one of those landowners who have property for sale in that area. So let's say, so if you have got, I know you mentioned that I know you're saying you have some property for sale. If you're willing to sell some, if you have gotten the price that you wanted, would you have sold out land because you're in support of the project?
Not to the Destiny people, because they are no good. They and their handlers are no good because they intended to railroad, demean, and just take people's land for next to nothing.
Okay. All right. And question answered. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Yahsonn,
Bankie,
anything?
You know, this
Yes.
caller, I'm happy that this caller has called in. I don't, again, going back to the vitriol, because I think people who don't have capacity end up resorting to insults. I will not insult the stone man. But referring to me as a liar, I don't know what it is I have to lie about. This is about development of the island of Nevis. And whilst there's been a lot of sound and fury in opposition, I can tell you that I'm in my constituency, I'm in my community. And there is a large majority of people out there who are asking me the question all the time, the boss, when this thing gonna start? The mistake that we make sometimes is that we feel that because we call in the radio and we make the most noise, that we express a view of the majority of people. You know, I recall some years ago we had an election cycle, and based on the crowd that was at the last lap for one particular party who had brought in a big artist from overseas, somebody called me and said, boy, CCM gone in. You must lose based on this crowd that I see. When the count is over, CCM was back in the winner's circle. Sometimes we mistake noise for majority view because the noise is loud. That's not how life works. And I think that we all need to understand those realities. So calling in and hurling insults at me is not going to advance the case one way or the other. And I am not saying everything that I know sometimes, because certain things you can't say publicly. But what I will say is this. Some people have expressed upset because they were not offered what they asked for their land. Whoever those people are, it's a matter for them. What I will say, however, Bankie and Yahsonn, that the stone man calling in is a useful call because he confirms a number of things for me. One, he's a private landowner in the area. Two, he has said he's not going to sell his land. You see what that tells us? That it is a decision that people will make to sell or not to sell, and it is his decision to make. Now, if they go on and say the government is pressuring him, or the government has passed some law, or the government is taking his land, then I could understand how the government gets in and we could attack the government for that.
All right, Mr. Premier, hold a second.
Hear what he said. He owned the land and he not selling. That's what you're right.
Hold a second.
If he had said, Bankie, that he owned the land
yes.
and he intends to sell, that is also his right.
Yes. Hold a second. I have a caller here. Caller, go ahead. Make a point.
This is Livingstone Williams again. The Premier has said that the Destiny people would not be able to vote and would not be able to buy lands outside of the zone. If they are citizens, he's on record of saying that a citizen, it doesn't matter if he gets it by birth, descendancy, or he buys his citizenship. We are all equal. So could he explain the mechanism by which they would deny these people
yes.
to vote, to buy lands?
All right. All right. Premier, hold a second. They have a next Carlos coming in. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Bankie, I don't tell you this thing about 100 times, you know. You go back to what I told you when you're in first farm, the teacher tell you 1 + 1 is 2. If you head hard and you're not listening, you just not listen because you understand. I have said to Livy, the reason why we have said that people are not going to be able to vote is that voting is based on residency. You know, Bankie, that you could be a citizen holding a St. Nevis passport. You live in America. Does that automatically mean you vote?
In St. Kitts, in Nevis?
If you're a holder of a St. Nevis passport living in America, does that automatically mean that you vote in St. Nevis?
Well, if I have that right to vote, I mean, I have to be registered and stuff like that.
Okay.
When it comes, if I want to take part.
Okay. You have to be registered.
Of course.
And in order to be registered, you have to establish links with a constituency.
Of course, there's a procedure.
That is the law. So what we have said is that in relation to persons who choose to live within a special zone, that will not qualify them for residency for voting.
So they want to carve out a special. There's something going to be carved out. Something special going to be carved out for those.
That is what we have said.
Special citizen for those special citizens. Because they are special citizens then.
Special citizens. You're saying to this group of citizens that to the extent that you have chosen to live in this particular zone, then your residence in that zone will not qualify to participate in elections.
Hold on, Mr. Premier. I'm trying to figure this out. So which means what? Because you just said a while ago that if the person overseas is going to vote, they have to be able to justify
register with a live register
a zone in a constituency in a specific constituency.
Yes.
So based on what you're saying, then does that mean that whatever area that's carved out will not be a part of any constituency? It would be.
Listen, what I think we are losing sight of, Yahsonn, is that there's a reason why the zone is referred to as special. It's special because it has special rules applicable. It's special because the people in.
So when the people are living there,
yes,
based on how the land is situated right now, I think some fall maybe in St. George's and some fall in St. John. Are you saying that by the time that is carved out, there would be no St. George and St. John in that area? That area would just be a specific area?
I'm not saying.
Hold the point there, Yahsonn. Let me take the call. Hold the point there.
If you choose to live in a special zone, then you choose to live there subject to the special rules that apply. And one of those special rules is that you will not qualify to vote in our elections. Same way you say I want to be in a zone and I don't want to pay any taxes. That's a special rule that you're asking to be applied to you. Okay. So the reason why we call these zones special zones is because they have special rules applicable within the zone. And that is why we're saying in our discussions, we have said very clearly, you cannot vote.
Okay,
and
I have a caller here.
Does not qualify you for residency purposes to vote. And we'll have to make that amendment to the legislation accordingly.
Okay,
let me get this caller in. Caller, good evening.
Good evening, Bankie.
Yes, can you make a point? Can we go? Yes.
And good evening to the Premier of Nevis.
Good evening.
The Premier just stated that if you have a Nevision living in America, it has to be registered in an area. These people that he's trying to bring in here, as far as I understand it, he said they will be registered in a special zone. If he's saying that they won't be registered in Nevis.
Carla, make your point, because we're not going to pass 10 o'clock this evening. We're not going to go over time. So make your point, please.
Listen.
Yeah, just make your point.
I'm trying to understand something. And if I can...
Carla, please to make your point.
Yes, I'm asking.
Yes.
Is he saying that they're going to be registered in a zone that's not in Nevis? Or are they going to be registered in a country within Nevis?
He will respond after. He will respond after, because he's listening.
What is he trying to say? He's confusing people all the time.
He will respond.
Could I finish, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, he's confusing people all the time. He just said that they have to be registered or related to a place in Nevis.
Yes.
No, they're related to the zone. So is he saying that the zone is not in Nevis? Or a different country within Nevis?
We'll let him respond to that, caller.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it. Mr. Premier, the caller want to respond? If the zone is outside Nevis, or the zone is in Nevis? Huh?
The caller says, I'm confusing him.
Yes.
But again, I don't know. The only language I speak is English, and it's the only language I can try. So let me try again. This has nothing to do with the zone being outside Nevis, caller. This has to do with your
Mr. Premier, hold your point, and let me take this last caller, and then we caller, good evening. Caller, hello. Hello.
Am I on?
If
Good evening, Shabazz. Good evening, Yahsonn. Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
yes, good evening.
Something that was just to call.
Yes.
A few quick questions. So the Mr. Brantley said that there's a reason why the zone is called specialty zone, and then he also said that Nevision lands are to be developed by the way our constitution is set up, that the NIA have the full autonomy over Nevision land. I am suspicious of the fact that the speciality of the zone and the reason why the federal government would have to get a say into this is because it's now bordering on institutional matters. And then I say to myself, well, in the speciality of the zone, people are now coming, given special rights to develop a zone, but then you would have like the Rastafari movement who says the marijuana hub is a sacrament for their religion. And, we would have had cases gone to court and nothing. The judge said, look, you are infringing upon the constitutional rights of the people and nothing would have been done about it. That's one. Secondly, I am wondering when according to what was said by Jensen, when the monies are to be shared, if the zone will have people who are, as Mr. Brantley would have said, Jensen is a division. Let's say 10 people are in Nevis already and 10 come to the zone, they are division. Would the people in the zone be getting part of the profit that divisions are supposed to be getting, part of that 5%? Because they are divisions. And how could you differentiate from divisions in the zone and division outside of the zone? Last question is, well, let me say two last questions. Why wasn't it like when in the zone they were asking landowners to put their lands in an escrow and give them a percentage? But I'm wondering how come the zone, the developers, how would they have seen it if they said to the people like, okay, if you have 100 acres, look, 50 for the zone and 50 you're part owner of the zone, you're a shareholder of the zone. And then the last question is, we look at 4 seasons, and 4 seasons have been given, in a sense, a monopoly. We now want to develop the south side of Nevis. 4 seasons would have been given a monopoly on the hotels, the type of hotel that could come here over the years. So we would not have been able to attract other, like a Hilton in Nevis or a Park Hyatt in Nevis based on what was arranged with 4 seasons. Aren't we afraid that we're going on the same way when we're giving such large acreage to one set of people that eventually maybe the south side might be developed and the next 100 years the north side don't see no development?
All right. Thank you, caller. All right. Yahsonn, I think that won't be our last caller for the evening. Mr. Pinney, you get those questions?
Yeah, the last caller has been asking some questions. I'm not sure that I could really understand because I could really answer, I'm sorry, because I think he's raising questions about what is and what could be, and he has his own ideas. For example, the last question he posed to ask whether or not development of the south side would exclude development on the north side of the island. I am, as Premier Nevis, looking for development all across Nevis. I think that wherever we can develop the island, wherever we can expand the economy and create jobs. And I think, gentlemen, that the world has changed, and it's changing rapidly before our eyes. We have situations where
Carlo, we ain't taking no more calls.
Well, you had said it was the last call, but you're going to go back to the phone and take another call? I mean, if you're willing to take
I'll take the call.
I'm okay with it.
Caller, you're the last caller.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Yes, I've been trying to get in forward.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, Mr. Premier, I just have one simple question. I just wanted to know if I decide to go into the zone to live, would my voting rights be taken away?
Well, if you're in the zone, you can't vote.
Well,
That's the simple question.
Well, let me hear what he has to say.
Well, he can answer you. Go ahead, Premier. The young lady want to hear
if you
you.
move into the zone, you disqualify yourself. Because we're saying
you hear
that
the Premier?
residents within the zone would not be qualifying for purposes of voting.
Hello? I think the caller hanged up, but I think the caller would hear what you said.
So, Mr. Premier, I think,
yes,
right?
let me take this card. I said this last card, but if they come in and tell somebody else call back, but I'm okay with them. Caller, good evening. Quick.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
Am I allowed to talk?
Yes, please. We're about to wrap up. We get the last caller.
Okay, fine. I am a Nevision living on St. Kitts.
Yes.
And I've been, to be honest with you, I'm frustrated. Just listening all these talk. We need some idea, where is this thing going? Because, to be honest with you, the economy in both St. Kitts and Nevis is dead. And I mean dead. And we have to come as a people to see where are we going to go from here, because nothing is happening in the economy. And we have to forget the politics, who is bringing this and thing. And as a Nevision, we need to band together, because I live in St. Kitts and I'm telling you, the Kittitian does not want to see a Nevision excel, whether we want to believe it or not. So we have things to think about. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for calling. All right. That was a Nevision living in St. Kitts who is very passionate about the Destiny Project. I'm not sure which favor she is for the project or she's not for the project, but I guess either way, she wants the best for Nevis. Mr. Premier?
So
it's about getting on that time. It's about to wrapping up time, so you get to put all them.
So, first of all, of course, gentlemen, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to coming back, because I think there are a number of other subjects that we would also want to discuss. I see my role here as one to share information and to comment. I think that some people perceive that it is my job to convince people. That there's some people that you cannot convince, because no matter what you say, they have their own views, and that is their right. Similarly, some people understand you will not be able to convince me, because I have my own views, and that is my right. My job as Premier of Nevis is to share information and to share accurate information. What people choose to do with that information is a matter for them. Some, when the information doesn't fit whatever it is they think, they resort to calling me a liar. They say what information I'm giving is incorrect. I have spent a life of being open and transparent with the people of Nevis, and that is why, gentlemen, the people of Nevis have time and time again said, I need and prefer your leadership over others that have been on offer. It is because of what we've seen and how we have conducted ourselves in government. Anybody who's here looking for perfection, looking for the perfect premier, the perfect government, you're not going to find that in anyone. But I think what you find in me is somebody who's always willing to engage and always willing to be accurate and truthful in my engagement. Accept it or not accept it, that is your right. But my job is to give you the information. Having said that, I have sought tonight to explain what is happening in relation to this particular project, where we are, and I sought to explain what we have sought to negotiate in terms of people having the right to vote or not to vote, as the case may be. Our position is simple. If you're going to come to Nevis, you're going to choose to live in a special zone, you're going to choose to have special rules applicable to you, then we are entitled to tell you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. We're entitled to tell you that in exchange for those special rules applicable to you, then you lose certain benefits, such as the right to vote, that other people living in the rest of Nevis would have. That is what special in special zone means. There's special rules that are applicable. You can't just have rules one way, which is the benefit, and no rules the other way, which is the burden. And so I think that is clear. I'm not sure why that seems to be creating so much confusion, gentlemen, among some of your listeners. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm always available. I'm only feeling that maybe I need to come more often, as opposed to this once in a blue moon thing. But I'm always
we want some month, Once a month is fine if you want to make it once a month.
You know, because what we're doing now, we're doing once every 3 months.
Yes, if you want to make it once every 2 months, once a month is fine.
I think we can certainly try to do once a month or once every 2 months, because I think the conversation is important. I think that our people need to move to a direction where we can have different views on matters, but we don't need to be upset and angry with each other. And I think that is a lesson that I keep talking about, but it seems that some people just don't understand. Bankie, you, Yahsonn, and I, we never agree on certain things. But we should be able, as Nevisians, to see each other and say, "Bye, brethren, you sent me some papaya today, I thank you for it."
Yes.
We're not enemies, because you have a view sometimes that is contrary to my view. And I just feel that is being lost in Nevis, because you have some people for their own purposes are engaged in a level of vitriol that, in my opinion, is unnecessary, because you know what? When all the fussing is over, not one job was created, not one doctor is hired, not one advancement in education, water, electricity, roads, security. And so if all we do is fuss each other, at the end of the day, how does that advance the argument of Nevis? So let us, because I am sharp as I am. So when I come on this and you all say, "Boy, and you challenge me and say, this is my view," I learn a lot from that. We engage with each other. But let us engage with each other in a responsible and respectful way. And that is my wish for the people of Nevis going forward. At the end of the day, elections will come and people will decide by going out and voting who they want in government and who they don't want in government. And their voice is the voice of God.
Well, Premier, I think the next time we do have an engagement, we're going to have to specifically just deal with destiny by itself, because I think destiny by itself needs an entire show. Because I recognize by the time we started to talk about destiny, the almost all of the other topics got hijacked. One I wanted to ask about is in relation to cannabis and Nevis. Can't let you go without that, because we see that there's some issues where St. Kitts is being treated a lot differently than how Nevis is treated. I know that there is the issue in relation to, on the medical side of things, you have to wait to some extent for the government or the federal government to do their rollout and so on. However, in relation to the Rastafari aspect and the freedom of conscience, the 5 trees and so on, those are areas that are constitutional. And I in my view, I don't know if you can correct me, but in my view, Nevis has the autonomy to move forward in relation to some of those aspects and make provisions for those aspects. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Nevis can move forward, especially seeing that some things are being cleared in relation to St. Kitts and Nevis side. There's something that can be done so that we don't have issues like where Bankie and Jama, who are Rastafari, known Rastafari brothers and Nevis, get themselves into a situation like that. So, your response to that?
Well, I think that we are at the end of the show. It's difficult to get into the meat of that, but I would want to agree with you. I feel that we need to start to look carefully on the areas that Nevis can act. I have in the past stated quite clearly that because there was an element of criminality associated with cannabis, that it became a federal responsibility. Now that the courts have ruled in relation, I think it was a Sankofa decision, where the courts have ruled in a particular way, that may open up the possibility now for the NIA to say that, listen, this is a constitutional right that people have. And frankly, if it's a constitutional right, it raises a further question. And that question is whether or not people need to be licensed to exercise a constitutional right. It's a further question now, which is actually a very interesting question. So, for example, do I need to be licensed to hold property or to bang them out because I have freedom of expression? And so if the court says that I have a constitutional right because I'm Rasta to smoke the herb or to use it as my document, do I need a license from any government to allow me to do what the court has said is my constitutional right to do? All of these are very important questions. And so you say that we need a show on destiny, but maybe we should have a show on cannabis as well. Because,
Okay.
my view on it is that whilst I don't use cannabis myself, one, I respect people's right to do it. And two, I feel that we should move to a position where we focus on the economic benefits that it can bring. And I am all about economic expansion of the island. And so I think that there's value in pursuing it in that way.
Well, I'm sorry the question had to come at the end of the program, and I'm definitely now thinking if I have that option, I would make that topic the topic before even the destiny, because in the interim, people are suffering. While these questions that you're asking and saying that are very important questions in relation to the constitutional rights, people's rights are being infringed, like Bankie and Jama, for example. And so that is very vital question to answer. We're at the end, and I know that you said that you were not able to stay much longer because you had
Yes.
other
Yes.
engagement as well, and so we
Of
want to respect
course.
that as much as possible. So we want to thank you for coming to the platform, and we are definitely going to seek to engage and get you back more sooner than later, so we could follow up on some of these things, because even in relation to the destiny, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to get into and highlight, but time would not permit. So we give thanks. We want to say thanks to all who would have logged in. We want to encourage you to, before you leave, go on over to the YouTube platform, click on the notification bell, subscribe, like, share. We want to thank all of you who would have made your comments on the wall, those of you who would have called in. Definitely, we were not able to attend to most of the comments on the wall, and we do apologize for that. But we encourage you to continue the engagement even after the show is completed. You can also still, engage and have your comments, and I'm sure the Premier would eventually, take some time to look at it too and maybe respond to a couple of comments as well. We want to encourage you to be sure to log in on Friday when we have another edition of Everything Agriculture here on the platform, and then on next week Monday when we have another edition of Quality Time with Alan here on Real Entertainment Network. So thank all of you. Thank you, Premier, for the invitation, and I'm glad that you're very open to coming back more frequently. We look forward to the engagement. Ira and all of the other guys behind the scenes, where Real Entertainment is concerned, we truly appreciate all the efforts that you guys are putting in. And, without you guys, nothing would be happening here. So give thanks, and we look forward to any more sponsors. If you want to sponsor the show, even you, Mr. Premier, if you want to sponsor the show, you can come on board and, sponsor the program. So give thanks, everybody. See you guys for another edition.
Before you go, can I make one request? Please, for the next show, don't let Bankie handle the calls, because Bankie don't have any idea what last call means. Okay, so
Virgin, is you just tell me technicals, let me know. Me not understand. You tell me technicals and they will know you blame me. Me not understand no? But he tell me technicals them.
Hold on, Bankie. That's a late moment ending this show. All right. So thank you, guys.
Respect.
Yeah, man. Give thanks. Appreciate it. Enough respect every time. Yes, sorry.
St. Kitts and Nevis, 2 islands, 1 people, 1 heart, 1 federation. From the mountain to the sea, this one is for we. I've seen the hills in foreign places, walk through cities far away, but nothing shines like morning sunlight on a Caribbean day. From Miagua standing mighty to the beaches soft and bright, every wave that kiss the shoreline feels like home. Oh yeah! St. Kitts and Nevis, 2 islands, 1 people, 1 heart, 1 federation. From the mountain to the sea, this one is for we. I've seen the hills in foreign places, walk through cities far away, but nothing shines like morning sunlight on a Caribbean day. From Miagua standing mighty to the beaches soft and bright, every wave that kiss the shoreline feels like home in golden light. down to the water. You make my spirit whole. Oh, sweet federation, blessed by land and sea. St. Kitts and Nevis forever. Home, sweet home to me. I love St. Kitts. We love St. Kitts. I love Nevis. We love Nevis. Long live the federation. Long live we nation. Viva, viva. Sweet SKN. Take it, take it. Wave your flag now. One people, one destiny.
Nevis peak in morning glory, mist like blessings in the air. Hot springs flowing, flowers blooming, beauty waiting everywhere. Pinney's beach, quiet waters, sunset painting gold and red. Every coconut tree swaying like a prayer above our head.
Then I crossed the narrow shining, St. Kitts rises proud and green. Brimstone standing strong forever, Royal Fortress Island Queen. Frigate Bay and Southeast beauty, sandy shores and sky so blue. Every picture tells the story, there's no place as sweet as you.
And the people full of kindness, with a warmth the world can see.
St. Kitts and Nevis blessed forever.
Land of love and liberty.
St. Kitts
And Nevis, I love you.
love you.
All the time,
2 islands in the sunshine.
forever on my mind. St. Kitts
St. Kitts,
and Nevis,
I need you.
you live inside my soul.
From the hills down to the water.
You make my spirit whole.
Oh, sweet federation.
Blessed by land and sea.
St. Kitts and Nevis forever.
Home, sweet home to me.
From the sugarcane fields to the harbor lights, from the mountain trails to the moonlit nights, from Siam to Gingerland, from Sandy Point to Charlestown, from Newcastle to Basseterre, we carry one crown. Not just 2 islands on the map, but one heartbeat in the sea of federation, strong and proud. That's who we born to be.
God bless our country. Bless our native land.
Guide every woman,
Every child, every man, every man.
give us courage, give us grace.
Keep your smile upon this place.
2 islands,
One nation,
one love, one
foundation. 2 islands, one nation. Sweet, sweet federation. St. Kitts and Nevis,
I love you.
love you all the time.
No matter where life takes me.
You're always on my mind. St. Kitts
And Nevis,
I love you.
I love you. Love you.
As my own. You are so dear to me.
That's why you'll always be my home,
Sweet home.
oh, sweet federation.
Paradise on earth to me.
St. Kitts and Nevis forever.
Gem of the Caribbean Sea.
I love St. Kitts.
You love St. Kitts.
She love Nevis.
You love Nevis.
Long live St. Kitts.
Long live Nevis.
Long live sweet SKN. Viva, viva,
Sweet federation.
viva, viva. One people,
One people.
one nation. Country. Oh yeah! St. Kitts and Nevis. 2 islands, one people, one heart, one federation. From the mountain to the sea. This one is for we. Breaking down the stories they be trying to hide. Used to trust the system, now the trust gone. Everybody talking loud, but the facts wrong. People tired of the fake and the gimmicks too, so they coming to these topics for